André Rieu is one of the most loved and successful artists on the planet, and his extravagant concerts often outsell gigs.
André Rieu's name has become synonymous with the spirit of celebration, the joyful reunion of hearts through the universal language of music. From the moment he first lifted a violin under the warm glow of a family living room lamp, there was something remarkable in the way his bow danced across the strings. Even as a small boy, he seemed to coax melodies from the air itself, as though the notes had been waiting patiently for his arrival. His earliest memories were fragrant with the scent of polished wood and rosin, the reverberation of chords echoing against the walls, and the hush of an audience holding its breath. Those formative experiences, woven together with equal parts determination and the encouragement of devoted parents, set him on a journey that would sweep across continents. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. By the age of 12, Andrew's talent was already turning heads. His teacher, a stern and discerning violinist who had studied in Vienna, once told him that some musicians played notes, but Andrew played dreams. It was a turning point that settled like a seed in his young mind. This gift was not meant for modest recitals in school auditoriums alone. It demanded a grander stage, a wider audience, a greater purpose. As he pored over the scores of Vivaldi and Mozart, he discovered that the real magic lay not just in technical prowess, but in storytelling. Each concerto a narrative, each movement a chapter. It was this narrative impulse that would later define his career. The teenage years brought both opportunity and upheaval. Andrew's family relocated from a quiet Dutch town to Maastricht, where he enrolled in the conservatorium. The bustle of the city contrasted sharply with his previous rural surroundings, but in the conservatory's hallowed halls, he found a community of kindred spirits. Long hours of practice gave way to collaborative chamber ensembles, and soon he was leading quartets and quintets with an ease that belied his age. Yet those same hours of devotion exacted a toll. Friendships strained under the weight of ambition, and at times he wrestled with the solitude that greatness can bring. Music became both his refuge and his burden. Upon graduation, Andrew faced the classic artist's dilemma: follow the conventional path of orchestral auditions and teaching positions, or strike out on his own. The turning point arrived one spring evening when he organized an impromptu concert in Maastricht's Vrijthof Square. Under twinkling lights and amidst the ancient architecture, he led a small ensemble through a program of waltzes and overtures. To his astonishment, a crowd gathered that swelled into the thousands, faces alight with wonder, clapping in unison, some even joining in the dance. He felt a spark of something electric, a communal joy that transcended cultural boundaries. He knew then that the future lay in bringing classical music out of concert halls and into the open air, into the hearts of everyday people. Thus was born the idea of his own orchestra, one conceived not as a distant institution but as a troupe of musical storytellers, each member handpicked for both virtuosity and charisma. Recruiting his first violinists, cellists, and a small brass section from across Europe, he christened the ensemble the Maastricht Serenaders. Their debut tour, modest though it was, just 5 concerts in small towns across the Netherlands, was a baptism by fire. They played in town squares and village greens, on river barges, and in historic courtyards. Each performance was a chance to refine their sound and hone the theatrical flair that became their hallmark. Matching outfits, sweeping bows, playful banter. Word traveled fast. Soon the Serenaders were packing venues that classical orchestras could only dream of. As the years unfolded, Andrew's vision expanded beyond Europe. North America beckoned, with its vast concert halls and millions of potential listeners. His first tour of the United States was a triumph. Sold-out performances at Carnegie Hall and the Hollywood Bowl, each show radiating a warmth rare in the world of classical musicians. Yet for Andrew, the greatest victory was seeing grandparents, parents, and children all swept together by the same symphony. He insisted on interludes where he would step forward and share anecdotes about the composers, about the history behind a Strauss waltz, about the hidden joy in a simple melody. It was storytelling by another name, weaving emotional threads that bound audience and performer in a single tapestry. Behind the scenes, the logistics were daunting. Managing an ensemble that swelled to 70 musicians, choreographing lighting and costumes, orchestrating tour schedules that spanned the globe, Andrew found himself wearing far more hats than violinist. He became a producer, a director, a traveling ambassador of music. But every challenge was met with his characteristic cheerfulness. When a sudden storm threatened to collapse a stage in Rio de Janeiro, he was the first to leap into action, rallying local crews and improvising a makeshift shelter. When visas were delayed in Tokyo, he charmed immigration officers with impromptu tunes on a borrowed sampler. In each instance, he seemed to transform obstacles into opportunities for deeper connection. Amidst the whirlwind of performances, Andrew never lost sight of his roots. He established an annual residency in Maastricht's Vrijthof, turning his hometown into a cultural pilgrimage site. Every summer, thousands flocked to hear the serenaders beneath the soaring cathedral spires, their applause echoing off centuries-old facades. The festival grew to include local choirs, folk dancers, and emerging soloists, but always circled back to that simple promise that music should be shared freely, an open invitation rather than an exclusive event. Philanthropy gradually became intertwined with this mission. Andrew launched a foundation to bring music education to underserved communities, funding programs in South Africa, India, and the favelas of Brazil. He visited classrooms, violin cases draped over his shoulders, demonstrating how a single note could ignite a child's imagination. Donations poured in, not out of obligation, but enthusiasm. His fans, known affectionately as Rieu's Dreamers, saw in his work a beacon of hope. For Andrew, these projects were less about statistics and more about stories. The shy girl in Johannesburg whose confidence soared after her first recital, the street children in Mumbai who formed their own orchestra, the veterans in Virginia who found solace in rehearsal halls. Personal life, however, was more elusive. Andrew's relentless touring schedule left little room for stable relationships. He had close friendships, of course, his concertmasters, the principal cellist, the lighting designer who became like family. But romance remained a delicate balancing act. On rare nights off, he would wander through quiet neighborhoods, seeking the ordinary pleasures he'd sacrificed. A home-cooked meal, a cozy cafe, the companionship of someone who knew him beyond the stage lights. Over time, he learned to carve out pockets of intimacy, inviting close friends into a city apartment decorated with souvenirs from around the world. A Tasmanian Aboriginal drawing, a Venetian glass figurine, a handmade drum from Senegal. It was his refuge, a place where music was shelf music, not performance music. By the time Andrew reached his 50s, the world had changed in ways he could scarcely have imagined as a boy. Digital streaming platforms had democratized access to symphonies. Social media turned performances into viral sensations overnight. Yet through it all, he held fast to the philosophy that inspired him from the beginning. Music is at its most powerful when shared live, when human energy and sonic vibrancy collide. To that end, he embraced technology with a balanced hand, live-streamed concerts to remote villages, interactive online masterclasses, holographic projections that allowed him to perform simultaneously in New York and Singapore. But nothing replaced the thrill of hearing a cello's deep resonance bounce back from the rooftops of an open-air venue. In recent years, Andrew has turned his attention to innovation within the repertoire itself. Commissioning contemporary composers, he has premiered new works that blend classical forms with modern influences, jazz harmonies, electronic textures, rhythms drawn from global traditions. Critics have lauded these pieces as bold and adventurous, and audiences have responded with enthusiasm, proving that classical music can evolve without losing its soul. Andrew conducts these premieres with palpable excitement, encouraging improvisation from the musicians and interaction with the crowd. It's a testament to his belief that music is living art, always growing, always inviting fresh perspectives. Reflecting on his journey, Andrew often points to moments of serendipity as defining elements of his story. The chance discovery of a neglected opera score in a dusty library, the invitation to perform at a royal wedding, the unexpected friendship with a tango dancer from Buenos Aires, all contributed to the mosaic of his career. Yet even those brush with fate moments were amplified by his willingness to pursue them wholeheartedly. He would remind young musicians that talent is only part of the equation. Curiosity, resilience, and an open heart are what transform opportunities into legacies. Legacy for Andrew is not measured in record sales or the size of concert halls, but in the laughter of children learning an instrument for the first time, the faint smile of an elderly listener moved to tears, the spark of connection between strangers swaying in unison to a waltz. He has often said that when he looks back on his life, he hopes to see a trail of people who felt more alive because of his music. And indeed, that trail arcs across every continent through countless languages and cultures, a testament to the power of a single dream pursued with joy. Now, after decades of touring, recording, and teaching, Andrew finds himself at a new crossroads. He is contemplating a memoir, an intimate chronicle of his personal journey, both the triumphs and the sacrifices. He teaches masterclasses at the conservatorium where he once sat as a student, guiding the next generation of violinists with the same fervor that sparked his own rise. And yet he remains fundamentally an adventurer, always attentive to the call of new horizons. There are still plazas in Asia unvisited, festivals in Africa waiting for his serenaders, and compositions begging to be brought to life. Through it all, the violin remains his compass. In the centuries-old instrument's wooden heart, he hears echoes of every performance he's given, every audience he's inspired, every story he's told without uttering a single word. It's a living archive, a vessel of emotion that resonates far beyond the stage. André Rieu's story is, above all, an affirmation that a life devoted to beauty and connection can alter the world, one note at a time. And as long as there are people waiting to listen, he will continue to lift his bow, draw that first note, and invite us all into the grand, unending symphony of life. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on André Rieu's journey and inspiring music career? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.